proud you fucking sound. Bragging about how many shots you about to show me you can pound. Man, that's flashbacks in mis tíos, borrachos growing up who only showed their solid faces when they needed a buck. They'd get into the cases and then my mom would be stuck cleaning up broken bottles and blood spilled from the pipes, and that ain't even rock bottom. You don't wanna hear about those nights, but I already know what you gon' say. You not an alcoholic, but how many of your friends are, and what could you do to stop it? This a whole other topic for a whole other song, so let me wrap it up. Yeah, let's just move it along. See, I've been running for a minute, adrenaline's got me reckless. Try to keep up with my lyrics, got you looking breathless. You could never kill my spirit, but you should just call me deathless. What? Said I've been running for a minute, adrenaline's got me reckless. Try to keep up with my lyrics, got you looking breathless. You could never kill my spirit, but you could just call me deathless. That's it. 2014's damn near done. We're just preparing for what's to come.
Hi. How's everybody doing so far? Quite an interesting Christmas so far. So we're going to be looking at getting into nice, cool, right? That's good. You had a nice nap. I'm okay. I got some things in my brain that are kind of bugging me a little bit, but I'll figure that one out. You know, these things happen. Hiccups that happen and need to be worked out and ironed out, and you know. So one of the things, some of the things that I would like or am going to be looking at, what do we got here? So, hey, thanks for the follow, Mark. Mark Bergman, thank you for the follow. Freedom Mevi, thank you for the follow. Paradox, thank you for the follow. Light Kai, thank you for the follow. I Fight for Them, thank you for the follow. Tumble, awesome, she rated. Skylars, thank you for the follow. Roberto, thank you for the follow. Yes Star, thank you for the follow. Awesome. So some of the things we're going to get into is the medicine wheel, the Dakota medicine wheel. see if we can get that here so everyone can see it. It won't let me blow it up. So, in Dakota culture, our medicine wheel that we use basically for every aspect of our life to help bring balance to every part of our life. Which also helps in our conduct that we have with others, and things we do with other people, and the way in which we interact with other people. Whereas in contrast, what you see today in colonialism and capitalism has nothing to do with balance. It's an all about me. Even when, even as far as different areas of it, like when you go into someone else's house and it's all about you, to going up that sense of entitlement wherever you go, whether it's like, in a restaurant or a place of business or wherever you go, this thought pattern and sense of entitlement that pushes you to forget to show respect to other people and other people's houses that you're entering into. So what I find is at one point when I was younger, before I actually started to learn my culture and heritage and my people's way of life, was that I had that extreme problem of walking into other people's domain and acting like I owned it. Which caused me, when I was younger, a lot of issues with people. Sometimes ended friendships, sometimes ended in fights, sometimes ended up with being, escorted out of the place by law enforcement and so forth. All kinds of different things. So after coming back home to my culture and learning and starting to learn and understand the medicine wheel and the 4 different aspects and multiple different layers of aspects as you start to grow and learn within it. One being, your mental, your emotional, your physical, and your spiritual aspect of yourself. And within this, you start to learn things like respect and stuff like that. And don't expect, as you're, if you're going to start to try to walk this path that we call the red road, that you're going to get it right all the time. It's people make mistakes. That it's just human nature. You're going to make mistakes. And sometimes you may find that no matter what part of the path and road on the red road or how far you are in the red road, that sometimes you do make mistakes. That's all a learning process, and we're always constantly learning from the day that we are born till the day that we die. It's a constant process of constant learning. So with these things, we learn how also to be able to communicate with ourselves and how we're feeling, and also learn how to communicate with others, also learn how to show respect because we start to learn and understand to have respect for ourselves. And then moving forward, we also start to learn to have and show respect for others and things outside of ourselves. Sometimes, depending on where you're at, you may even start to start off with like a simply learning how to respect something that's outside of yourself, and then move towards centering yourself and learning how to respect yourself. Most times, though, it is suggested that you start learning how to have your own self-respect for yourself. And then moving forward from that, learning how to slowly start to allow this circle to grow more and more and wider and wider and wider, until you are imaging that same respect that you have for yourself to others, and learning how to treat people as how you would wish them to treat you. Or how you would wish or want people to treat you in your house. You learn to respect others and in their house, because then again, in hopes it works out that it will balance out, and then there's a mutual respect. Also, it teaches you how to work on your mental, like, brain power, education, stuff like that. Your emotional, being able to allow yourself to grow up emotionally, so that you can be mature. And then physically, so like, you learn to exercise your body, try to keep it as healthy as you possibly can. Not everyone is going to be, the perfect mint healthy condition, but we can strive towards improvement and bettering ourselves. And then, of course, your spiritual foundation, which may be whatever it is that you believe in, i.e., whether it's the church, the Bible, Jesus, Islam, Buddhism, indigenous spiritual way of life, whatever it is that you might believe in. I've known people who, when started to get clean and sober, literally, like, one was like their higher power was the light bulb, because the light bulb in the medicine circle, the healing circle, was the only thing that kept coming them back, or the chair that was in that circle was the only thing that kept coming them back, so that was their higher power. Things like that, right, as a beginning point to start to learn, to understand, to grow, right? To start looking within inside yourself and in retrospect, to be able to find out more about yourself, so that you understand yourself. And by understanding yourself, you start to learn more about people. And then, it keeps growing. You start to, learn more about your surroundings. You start to get more in touch, in tune with your surroundings. You know what I mean? Like, it's really a long healing process that pretty much takes your entirety of your life in process of doing. It's a constant thing till the day you die. in which case this is what we mean. The Sioux were savages. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but Hudson's Bay Company put out that whole entire scalping thing because they did not. They back in the days when they would pay people to be the Indian hunters, so to speak, to go out and kill indigenous people. They were the ones that came up with the idea of scalping, not us Sioux. And you didn't make anything civilized. You can't even keep your own people civilized, including yourself. Bye. So, after you've been banned, you follow. Is that to keep a track of all the different channels that you get banned in as you do your troll bit? Good luck. So, what you find is learning how to have a balance inside of yourself, a healthy balance, healthy boundaries, and being able to exert those boundaries in your everyday life. That includes relationships with family, friends, loved ones, partners, children, everyone you meet, and all boiling down to a commonality of respect. If you cannot respect yourself, then you do not respect others. Just like this person that we had show up here that decided that he was going to comment about how this fallacy of scalping, being that my tribe apparently came up with this scalping idea, when no, it was actually the Hudson's Bay Company that did that, and the U.S. Army. And then acting like they civilized us. They didn't civilize anything. They can't even civilize themselves. Take a look in the mirror. Take a look out there in the reality. You can't even civilize yourself, but they think, people like that they don't have any respect because they're out of balance. They don't know themselves. They don't know anything about themselves or anything else. All they are is, hey, 16 tones. All they are is a brainwashed, talking point, regurgitating robot. All the while, it would be so simple for them to realize all their issues come from not the people that they've been brainwashed to hate upon, but actually their oppressor, the one that's been brainwashing them, i.e. The United States government, the 1%, and corporate 1% rich people, and the corporations have been brainwashing people for a very long time into this American exceptionalism, which is basically the same ideologies that Hitler had with the Nazis. But they don't want to understand that because they don't understand themselves. Which, when we look at this medicine wheel and the teachings within the medicine wheel, we start to realize all these different things about ourselves. And then we start to work on improving them, healing the things or fixing or changing the things within inside of ourselves, that aren't doing us any good anymore, that aren't being productive, that aren't healthy for us, and start, working on that healing path and journey, right? And one of growth. Let's see. So it's with these understandings and wisdom that helped indigenous people survive for generations pre-colonization, as well as after colonization. Invaders came and colonized, and all the genocide that has transpired. So these are these things that we look at, right? Where is this one? I mean, we have all different things like spring, summer, fall, winter, the 4 different nations on the planet. Learning all these different things, or the 4 cardinal, I should say. Learning all these things and learning how to balance these within inside of yourself. And then, like I said, after learning how to balance it within inside of yourself, learning how to extend that balance more and more and more outside of yourself into your everyday life, and helping to help have a productive, healthy relationships with people, help to have a healthy understanding with people, so that you can understand people that you're getting into communication and talking with, right? So these are very important things to remember in moving forward with actually trying to heal or trying to build a healthier, more productive world than the shit show that we're stuck in at the moment. Thank you, OG. Greatly appreciate that, buddy. Thanks, bro. Yeah, it's been one whopper of a stream, 36 hours. Although I was lucky and was able to take like a couple hour naps. So basically, I think I've only maybe taken in 36 hours. I maybe had well, let's see, 1 was 4, and I think like 2 was the other. So maybe 6 hours of sleep in the 36 hours of streaming, which, whew. Yeah, and I'm still going strong. But good stuff. We need to get more streamers through radio. That would be nice. But if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I can't force people to do something that they don't want to do. So mean, I think it would be awesome and cool, but you know what I mean? Like, aw, thank you, OG. I appreciate that. I truly do appreciate that. So everyone that's here, is what I'm discussing with you so far up to this point making sense to you all? Hopefully, please feel free to answer. I would greatly appreciate your feedback and input into this subject. This is not just a lecture topic or a lecture moment. Yeah, the medicine wheel is widely known throughout most of indigenous communities in the northern hemisphere of Turtle Island, including some of the central and southern hemisphere of Turtle Island. Um, it's basically when you hear people talk about the family hoop or the sacred family circle, um, that's what they're referencing is the medicine wheel. Yeah, I've seen the symbol before, never knew the meaning. Oh, cool. Hey, do you think that 9/11 was faked? You know, yeah. Right on the job. Bam. I'm not really interested in conspiracy theories at the moment. You're making me proud of you, Ray. Right? You're making me very proud of you. So, when it comes to the medicine wheel, these are a lot of these different teachings. A lot of the counseling or the healthy relationship or healthy relationship with like yourself and others and stuff like that. Um, a lot of these things come from a lot of the core teachings within the medicine wheel. As we all know, colonizers were famous for stealing other people's culture and ways of life and traditional values and stuff, and co-opting them as their own. Um, i.e., example, the Constitution, um, which was completely screwed. They did a screwed up job with it, royally screwed up. They couldn't get it right for the life of them, although they did try. Um, to even Marxist Leninism and the manifesto, anarchist manifesto, and socialism manifesto. Um, all the basic core ideas and principles and philosophies and stuff come from indigenous people. So, which, if you look, like when it comes to the Constitution, you can look up the Great Law of Peace by the Seven Nations of Iroquois and all of them. That'll give you a reference point to looking at where the Constitution really originated from. Although, albeit it's been extremely bastardized. As well as another point that you can also be looking at is the YouTube stream of Twin Rabbit, and look up at Stolen Anarchy, his video Stolen Anarchy, which we do play from time quite frequently here on this channel as well. I mean, if you want the pure thing, go to the source, right? If you want it in its purest form, you go to the source. So basically, what the medicine wheel, in its simplicity, is because it starts to become more and more complex the more and more you grow in it, and you start to understand it and work within this way of life of it. So basically, what it does is it also hugely teaches you and helps you to learn balance within inside of every aspect of yourself and your life and the world around you, to find balance and harmony. Whether, from everything from interpersonal skills to relationship skills and balance and harmony, to in your home. Yes, that would be the awesome relative who I had just mentioned as Twin Rabbit. That's his Twitch channel. Please do feel free, follow my the cousin, the relative. To also learning how to be in balance with nature and Grandmother Earth. It gets really, really deep, and the more and more you get into it, the more and more it is. And like I said, the medicine wheel takes a lifetime to learn. It's not in like, oh, we'll take a couple of classes. Right, you're awesome, right? That would be the YouTube link for Stolen Anarchy from Twin Rabbit, that Rye has so graciously linked in chat. These things aren't something that, like, you take a 7-day course, or open up the book, read it, and oh my God, you're an expert. Trying to spread the word for our primo cousin. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. We support and we stand in solidarity and with our cousin Tale of Two Rabbits, aka Twin Rabbit. So these things is something that's a lifetime process of learning. Like literally, it's a mass multitude of like massive um, um, different things to learn and different parts and oh, it's huge. It also helps you to learn the balance of when we say asu say matakuasin, meaning all my relations, in that philosophy behind we are related to everything. All my relations means we're related to everything. That's that philosophy when you hear that being said. And those teachings. And as I said, like, don't expect, if you like so far, or the medicine wheel interests you, and as you start to learn, realize that this is not an overnight learning process and boom, you're an expert in it or you're a professor in it. This is a lifetime of learning. You constantly are learning something new every single day in it. And you will make mistakes. You will fumble and fall. At which point, you also learn that when you do make those mistakes, you pick yourself back up and you learn to correct where the mistakes were and how it went down, and to correct what you've done wrong, as well as making amends for what you've done wrong. These things are very. This is one of the main things that helped us indigenous people on the northern hemisphere of Turtle Island survive 500 plus years of genocide. These are one of the core things, and it seems, and it baffles them that they can't break it. They can't sever us from it. It's just interweaving into our DNA. It is what it is. It is who we are. As someone who may not have this as a part of their culture, heritage, or per se DNA, it's still available for you to learn, but you have to get out of the arrogance of the head. This ideology that that you see prevalent today with people that claim that they have you see it a lot with some people. They're always talking about all their degrees, but really don't, how do I put it? There are some of them that you see that have, I was raised to believe I was 1/8 Cherokee. Right on. Cool, dazed. That's also another issue, dazed. See, only the United States government uses this blood quantum, and there's only 3 things on the planet that go by blood quantum: dogs, horses, and indigenous people in the United States. Nothing else goes by blood quantum to determine whether you're native or not. Only the United States uses that. And it is a way to reduce the population of the indigenous population as best as they can, or try to. Um, so once again, um, my point in this is that um, this is like your introduction 101. The learning process is so weird because even though they go by blood quantum, they refuse to recognize Chicanos as indigenous, which lets you know their system is BS. Yeah, well, you know why they don't want to recognize Chicanos as indigenous, right? Because then they can't call you illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, which cuts off multiple different overspenditures and useless spending on sections or what's the word I'm looking for? Agencies that basically are is their sole purpose to do that. Yes, and they'll have to recognize that we've been here since before they landed. Exactly, that's right. They don't want to do that. They don't. They come up with all these excuses to try to deny the truth, whether it's the use of science, whether it's the use of some bullshit theory, to just blatant, outright denial that we even existed here before they showed up. So, in hopes now that I've kind of cracked this egg open for you a bit, the purpose of that is that if this interests you and you're honestly willing to learn more about it, this is where you do research. This is where you look into it. This is where you start to study it and to understand it within inside of yourself. This is a completely unique, self-only technique and belief system and medicine. But the medicine does apply to every single person. It's just more of this is for you to discover. Now, granted, you are full within if you sit back and go, well, how do I know if I figure, if I want to ask a question or something, that is fully within that spectrum of asking elders and such, medicine people about the medicine wheel. If you have questions about it, as you start to study it and study it and try to practice it in your daily life, questions is going to arise. By the way, I recently started learning about and their actions against indigenous nations, and it is the main reason I'm here. I hope I can learn some new things while I hang out. I'm probably sure you may very well just might. It's most likely. So don't be surprised if you come across you're researching into this for yourself and trying to learn and understand the medicine wheel for yourself, that you come across questions. Don't be surprised. Don't be disheartened. You're going to run across questions. If you don't run across questions, you're not doing it right. Do you know what I mean? Literally. Some of those questions you may have to answer for yourself or try to find out for yourself. And then there are some that, asking an elder or a medicine person to help you to understand what they're talking or what it's talking about, or at that point that you're at, that this question arises. But ultimately, the medicine wheel is based upon the way is based upon yourself and finding that connection and balance. Attachment is a wild ride. There was always talk in my community of what they did to us, but when I learned what they did in the black community, yeah, I know, right? So these are some very important things to look at and to remember. The medicine wheel teaches it's a personal thing. Yeah, well, yeah, I've heard the CIA wanted to secure uranium that was on Lakota land. Yeah, that's nothing new. OG, that's nothing new. They've been doing secret uranium drilling on Lakota land for a very long time, my friend. It's nothing new. Nothing new. Oh, well. Yeah, manifest destiny. It is extremely messed up. Manifest destiny. Ew. Let's see here. God. I wish these so-called shamanic shamans that don't, when you're looking to learn about the medicine wheel, do not go to some non-indigenous shamanic shaman who's going to teach you the most dumbest, stupid, and wrong things. Go to the people. Go to the indigenous people that it actually comes from. Don't just, you know what I mean? All right. Let's see. Da. Before I forget. Let us check this out. We're gonna watch a relatively short video called "The Medicine Beyond the Tradition: Non-Partisan Hatred of New Ageism is a Beautiful Thing." And just a fair warning, if I see that it's at any point in time that it is not going to be teaching you something correctly, I definitely am going to be stopping the video.
The medicine wheel is a symbol that has been in use for over 10,000 years by the native people of North and South America. What does the wheel represent? How does it relate to medicine? What accounts for its long and widespread use? And what value might it have in a modern society? One person who can answer these questions is Don Warren, an individual who has seen the world from both the traditional perspective and from the modern perspective. He grew up in touch with both worlds. Don's family is from South Dakota and moved to Tempe, Arizona when he was 4 years old. He went to school in Tempe, but spent his summers on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. Don graduated from high school in 1984 and received his bachelor's degree in 1989 from Arizona State University. As a member of the Oglala Sioux tribe, he has had a unique perspective on medicine and healing. His mother, Beverly Warren, has been a nurse for many years and currently teaches in the nursing department at Mesa Community College in Mesa, Arizona. His family includes many traditional healers and medicine men from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. In 1992, Don was given his grandfather's name, Prejuta Wichasha, which means medicine man in the Lakota language. In addition, his father, James Warren Sr., had been diagnosed as having multiple sclerosis in 1979, and Don has witnessed his father's treatments from traditional and modern medicine approaches. In 1993, Don began his 4th year of medical school at Stanford University on his way to becoming a family physician. From this background, Don has been exposed to medicine and healing from the traditional Native American perspective and the modern medicine perspective. Let's hear now from Don Warren as he gives us his insights into the time-honored medicine wheel and how its use may extend from the traditional to the modern.
What I'm talking about today is the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel is an ancient symbol that has been used to symbolize many things to the indigenous people of North America and South America. The earliest accounts of the medicine wheel date back thousands of years among the Lakota people, who are more commonly known today as the Sioux. There are many interpretations of what the medicine wheel symbolizes, just as there are many Native American tribes and languages. The symbolism I will be talking about is what I've learned from my family and from other traditional Lakota people. I will also be sharing some of my own interpretations of the medicine wheel with you today. What the medicine wheel shows is a circle with a cross in the middle. What this represents, most basically, is the 4 directions: east, north, west, and south. And what this symbolism shows is that although the directions may be opposite to each other, represented by the cross, they are still connected, and this is shown by the circle connecting the ends of the cross. There are other interpretations that include up to the sky and down to the earth as the 5th and 6th directions. Also, some people look to the center of the circle as being within, and this is the 7th direction. For now, I will just be referring to the 4 directions and the symbols that are used within those directions. As you can see, colors are also used. There is yellow, white, black, and red. And this symbolizes the different races of people in the world. Yellow being people from Asia, white being people from Europe, black being people from Africa, and red being people from this continent. Sometimes people ask, well, where's brown? For the Latino groups. But actually they are represented here, because the red and the white, the indigenous people here and the Spaniards, blended together to form the Latino groups. In an ideal world, all of the colors would be able to overlap with each other. But unfortunately, there are many interracial conflicts. Within the four directions, we look at gifts coming to us from the four directions. In the traditional Lakota way, it is believed that everything in nature is sacred and was sent to us as a gift from the Great Spirit, Wakantanka. Here are some examples of the gifts given to us from the four directions. In addition to the colors, yellow, white, black, and red, there are also basic elements: fire, air, earth, and water. Fire is a gift from the east, along with the sun. Air is a gift from the north, along with the animals. Earth is a gift from the west, along with the minerals. And water is a gift from the south, along with the plants. And if you think about these gifts from the perspective of the Great Plains, these directions make a lot of sense. For example, the sun rises in the east, and it is yellow, like fire. White is from the north, where the snow comes from, along with the northern winds. The sun sets in the west, so it is black. Also, the Black Hills, or Black Earth, and the Rocky Mountains are to the west of the plains. Minerals are also a gift from the west. And if you think of Black Hills gold, these gifts make a lot of sense. And to the south, red can be thought of as the people and the deserts to the south. And water and plants can be thought of as representing the rainforests in Mexico and South America. The medicine wheel shows that even though they are in opposite directions, destroying the rainforests to the south can affect the air to the north, because the gifts are all connected by the circle. The most basic part of medicine in the medicine wheel is symbolizing what a person is. To the east, there is the spiritual aspect. To the north, there is the mental aspect. To the west, there is the physical aspect. And to the south, the emotional aspect. One problem I think we have in modern medicine is that people don't see themselves as being at the center of the wheel and being in charge of all four aspects. Many people think that the priest or clergy is in charge of their spirituality. Their teachers or psychiatrists are in charge of their mental health. The doctor or physician is in charge of their physical health, and their friends and relationships are in charge of their emotional well-being. In this way, people have an external locus of control, because they are not in control of all four aspects. Whereas in the traditional Lakota way, the person is seen as being at the center of the wheel and being in charge of their own spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional health. In this way, there is an internal locus of control. Also in the traditional Lakota way, illness is seen as being an imbalance in this wheel. And what the traditional healers do is help people get back into balance through prayer, meditation, herbal medicine, and getting in touch with emotions. A difference between modern medicine and traditional medicine is that the person takes an active role in their own healing process by working with the medicine man. Whereas in modern medicine, many people believe it is the doctor's responsibility to make them well, and they take on a more passive role in the healing process. This attitude often manifests itself as anger or frustration when people cannot find a quick fix to a physical ailment. Another difference between modern medicine and traditional Lakota medicine is that the traditional healers have to be very dynamic, because they attend to all four of these aspects in order to help people get back into balance. Whereas in modern medicine, the doctors primarily attend to the physical aspect of health. Another word for modern doctor is physician, which has the same root as physical, which is from the Latin physic, meaning the natural sciences. I think most of us understand how all four aspects are related to our health and well-being. For example, most people believe that mental stress can cause physical illness, and physical illness can cause emotional depression. And when people are searching for the meaning of life spiritually, they can feel out of balance in any of these areas. Also, people have a natural tendency to try to get themselves back into balance, even if they are unaware of this symbolism. For example, when people are physically ill and in the hospital, they tend to become more spiritual. This is one reason why there are chapels in most hospitals. Also, when people are emotionally upset, one response is to rationalize to get back into balance. Another example of our understanding of this symbolism is within athletics. Coaches often refer to pride and team unity as being the values that make up team spirit. And from team spirit, people develop mental strength and mental toughness, which influences the physical performance. And many athletes believe that the most important part of their physical performance lies within mental strength. It is also a common saying that games are won on emotion. And what this means is that the physical performance produces an emotion which feeds back into the team spirit, or pride. In this way, it can be seen how winning breeds winning through the emotional, spiritual, and mental aspects. I believe that one reason why sports are popular, particularly among men, is that this is one area in modern society that allows men to be openly emotional. Another way to look at the medicine wheel is mind, body, heart, and soul. The spiritual nature can be called the spirit or the soul. Mental nature is the mind. Physical nature is the body. And for emotions, we use heart as the symbol for emotions. For example, when you feel for someone, your heart goes out to them. Or when you feel bad, your heart is broken. This is very similar to Plato's philosophy. He referred to a soul, mind, and body. But in the medicine wheel, emotions are seen as a separate entity, making it a circular symbolism. Plato saw emotions as being part of the mind, making it a linear model. The medicine wheel can also be thought of as representing values, decisions, actions, and reactions. What a person does from the spiritual realm is interpret their values into decisions, which is the mental aspect. And then they implement their decisions into actions, which is the physical aspect. And the actions produce a feeling, whether it is a positive feeling or guilt. Depending on the action, they get reactions, which is the emotional aspect. And the emotions provide feedback or input back into the value system. So it is a circular pattern. In this way, it can be seen how everything we do, all of our decisions, actions, and emotions, are rooted within spirituality. This is one reason why the elders tell us that everything in life is sacred, and everything we do is spiritual. I think many people have an innate understanding of this cycle, because many sayings that are used to describe people fit this model. For example, a well-rounded person, or a person needs direction, or in balance, or off-center. To be in balance, you can see how important it is to have an internal locus of control and to exist at the center of the wheel. What has happened since the Europeans came to this continent is that many of the spiritual aspects have been taken away. Sacred lands, such as the Black Hills, were taken. Spiritual practices, such as the sun dance and sweat lodges, became illegal. Children were taken away to boarding schools, and many spiritual leaders were killed. As a result, negative emotions were generated, such as mourning, sadness, anger and frustration, and ultimately low self-esteem. And without a spirituality to fall back on, these negative emotions went straight to decisions. And that's where alcohol came in, because the action was to drink to numb these emotions. The Wounded Knee Massacre in 1890, in which Chief Bigfoot and over 250 unarmed Lakota people, including many women and children, were killed, is thought of by many people as the symbolic event for the loss of spirituality for the Lakota people. Black Elk, a Lakota spiritual leader and medicine man who lived during that time, said that because of the Wounded Knee Massacre, the circle is broken. And it literally was. The spiritual aspect was taken away, leaving a semicircle of despair. But he also said that it would take 7 generations to heal the circle. And that is where we are now. The children of today are the 7th generation. And there seems to be a resurgence of traditionalism in many tribes. This is a good thing, because the people who have been able to avoid alcoholism or to recover from it are generally very strong spiritually. Within the medicine wheel, it is easy to see how there can be imbalances in the spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional aspects. A person who is imbalanced toward the mental nature and away from emotions might be characterized as cold and non-emotional. In modern society, a lot of men are imbalanced in this way because they believe that to be a man is to be non-emotional. But to be missing the emotional development is to be missing the important feedback link into the value system. If this is completely undeveloped, the person might be characterized as heartless or impassionate because there is no mechanism for guilt or joy to feedback to the value system for re-evaluation. Someone who is imbalanced toward emotions and away from the mental aspect might be characterized as irrational or overly emotional. In this way, the emotions are controlling the person's decisions and actions. This can manifest itself as impulsiveness or poor decision-making. A person can also be imbalanced toward spirituality and away from the physical aspect. In many religions, it is a sacred thing to be a martyr with your body. But in some instances, it is conceivable to see how a person who is imbalanced toward spirituality may actually be running away from his or her physical nature. Being imbalanced toward the physical nature and away from spirituality is something I think is common among people today. These people believe that the only things that are real exist only in the physical world. And they believe that thoughts and emotions are rooted in physical nature. These are the type of people who say things like, "I need to find myself," when they realize there is something missing in their lives. What I've been talking about so far are values, decisions, actions, and reactions. But there are also interactions. Problems arise in interpersonal relationships when people are out of balance. This diagram represents 2 people who come together who are imbalanced. The person on top is someone who is imbalanced toward the mental side and away from emotions. And the person on the bottom is someone who is imbalanced toward the emotional side. The old saying, "opposites attract," is actually true in many cases. I'm sure many of us can think of examples of relationships in which one person is very rational and non-emotional, and the other person is very emotional and seemingly irrational. What happens in this situation is people see in each other what they don't have in themselves, and by getting together, they kind of complete each other's circles. These people can interact in the physical and spiritual realms, but when the person on top wants to be rational, there is conflict because the person on the bottom has to operate outside of their circle. And the opposite is also true. When the person on bottom wants to be emotional, there is conflict because the person on top has to operate outside his or her circle. The reason there is conflict is because they are constantly trying to pull each other outside of their comfort zones. Oftentimes, these people will remain together because even though there is a lot of conflict, each person provides for the other the aspects of life that are not developed within themselves. In an ideal situation, both people will develop their wheels fully before trying to start a relationship or a marriage. In this way, they can interact equally on all 4 levels and provide each other balance through harmony rather than conflict. When you look at interactions, you can look at people interacting like this. This is an example of a superficial interaction. People can interact superficially within any of the 4 aspects. An example of this might be in an academic or a professional environment where people are interacting, but what they are really doing is projecting themselves. If you recall, the people are at the center of the wheel, and they are projecting themselves into one realm or another. It's almost as if people have an arm's distance projection of who they are, and they hold up a mask. And people wear different masks in different situations, depending on who they are interacting with. What happens when people are interacting with loved ones or family members is that the interaction becomes like this, and they are interacting at the center of who they are. This is an example of a true interaction, because it is at the center of the wheel, and the people are free to interact on all 4 levels. Whereas in a superficial interaction, it is the projection of one person meeting the projection of the other. Oftentimes, people refer to differences in communication between Indian and non-Indian people. Non-Indian communication is often referred to as linear because there is a distinct beginning and a distinct end to the written or the spoken word. Often, these are referred to as an introduction and a conclusion. In circular communication, there does not have to be a distinct beginning or a distinct end to an idea. This can be thought of in many ways. Oftentimes, circular communication can be thought of as speaking from the other person's perspective, or the circular pattern may exist in the words themselves. Chief Joseph, a Nez Perce leader who lived in the late 1800s, made a famous quote in which he decided to no longer fight the U.S. troops who were invading his people's land. His speech is a beautiful example of circular communication.
I am tired of fighting. It is cold and we have no blankets. The little children are freezing to death. My people, some of them, have run away to the hills and have no blankets, no food. No one knows where they are, perhaps freezing to death. I want to have time to look for my children and see how many of them I can find. Maybe I shall find them among the dead. Hear me, my chiefs. I am tired. My heart is sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever.
The first part of his speech describes the physical state of his tribe and the actions that had led up to this point. He summarizes the tribe's physical condition in the words, "I am tired." From here, he moves to the south part of the wheel, where he deals with the reactions and emotions generated from the physical realm. Here, he states, "My heart is sick and sad." These emotions feed back into his feeling of a broken spirit and compromised values. When he says, "From where the sun now stands," he is speaking from a spiritual and value perspective, which form the basis of his decision. I will fight no more forever. The medicine wheel is a very old symbol that has been used effectively for over 10,000 years. The wheel also has many applications in the world today, including modern medicine and current lifestyles. We have touched upon some of these applications in our discussion today. The elders tell us to keep harmony within nature and within ourselves. The medicine wheel gives us directions for attaining this balance. Listen to your emotions and be aware of your values. This will strengthen your decisions and actions and allow you to live in harmony with the world around you. Aho, pilamiya yolo, mitakuye oyasin.
So, does that make sense to everyone so far? Did that make a lot of sense? Yes, so when we live out of balance is what we see today, right? In our community, in our society, and in our world, and in our interpersonal relationships. We see a mass load of imbalance. The objectivity of with help through this medicine wheel is understanding the balance. Western medicine rejects holistic outlooks. Yeah, well, Western medicine rejects a lot of things that are literally good because they can't lay claim to it. They can't make a profit off of it, so, you know what I mean? Capitalism, my friend, if it cannot make a profit off of it or can't figure out a way to make a profit off of it, it needs to be rejected, removed, not, thought of as silly or you know what I mean? The lack of communication between the therapist, doctor, pharmacist, etc. Yeah, it's pharmacy. I worked in a pharmacy, so I know. Yeah. Exactly, right? So that's just an example, like that you gave there, right? Dazed is the therapist, doctor, pharmaceutical, etc. The therapist, doctor, pharmaceutical, and the patient. There's a lack of communication between all four aspects of that, which breaks down the whole entire healing process, looking towards what they're doing with that, right? Which is supposed to be centered around the patient, to help the patient to heal, to help the patient to live. Intentionally segregated to artificially increase the need for more patients, interactions, i.e. money. Yeah, exactly, right? Like I said, if they can't figure a way to make capital out of it, they can't use it, so they got to make everybody else think it's useless. Because damn it, they need to make money. And an outrageous amount of it. All the while forgetting about the patient and what the patient really needs. Because greed is a sickness. Sure, here, if you let's see here if we can get this working. there's the link to the video. For anyone who wants to look into that more or study it more. All I would say is if you're going to be looking through YouTube and stuff like that, avoid places that have things that have Gaia or shamanism, New Age stuff in that aspect, because you're not going to get the actual proper teachings. You're going to get, or foundations or principles, you're going to get, I will be where you are. Get it from the source. Indigenous people. Get it from the source. That's the way you're going to get the purest form of it. Otherwise, all you're getting is misinformation and someone wanting to make a huge profit and demand that you pay them money for it. Oh, you must pay me, no matter that I don't represent anyone but my pocket. And my only interest is making profit off of an indigenous thing without actually honoring any of the indigenous people that it comes from. Yeah. That's what we call appropriation. Well, it became popular because other non-indigenous people felt a connection with other non-indigenous people who were all into they wanted to reject Christianity. Yeah, that's part of it. But see, at the time when New Agers came into popularity, it was still being native, or native things were still, how do I put it, although it was kind of like a niche, kind of like yeah, and there was still widespread racism. Like, a white person would rather learn from another white person about indigenous culture rather than a native. Do you know what I mean? Like, because all Indians are just savages. So I'll learn it from a white person who probably really doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. But hey, they're white like me, so do you know what I mean? It's like the bougie, the bougie people, the bourgeois people, right? That, have their, what do they call it? I forget what the English word for it is. So it filled the vacuum left by the ensure of actual indigenous spiritual resources, basically. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Dazed. Yes. It's the same if you were to like go to Germany. There's like a whole, what is it, like 2 blocks that of German people who um, literally have like a historical indigenous village, and it's all Germans. They want to partake in our traditions but not actually interact with us. Yes, right, exactly. They don't want to interact with us savage Indians, but they want to partake in our traditions. They want to appropriate it. Like they've done to so many other cultures. So the medicine wheel is one of the very core things of traditional or traditions. It's basically like an extreme high form of psychology, in the same time an extremely high form of spirituality, physical and emotional. And at the same time, it's learning balance, if that makes sense to you all. I mean, we've had psychologists out of their yin yang that have all. It reminds me of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but this is a different, definitely older than that history. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely older than that history. For as long as there have been indigenous people on this side of the island, or this side of the world on this island, there has always been this. Throughout all Turtle Island, you will find, and many other places like New Zealand, Australia, other places where indigenous people are, you will find this medicine wheel. It is very much an intricate part of our everyday life and our spirituality and the core of our being and our relationships that we have with ourselves and others and everything around us. And if you notice, you see the wheel, right? Apparently, only white man invented the wheel. People had no idea of the wheel. Yet the medicine wheel has been around long before first contact. Long before the Eastern worlds even knew that the world was round and not flat. Oh wait, sorry, flat earthers. I know you all think that the earth is still flat. But these are things that we understood. Just the same as without having to have a telescope in space and looking down at Turtle Island, knowing that the shape of this island was very similar to a turtle, hence the name calling it Turtle Island. We already knew that, indigenous people. We already knew that. So, I mean, to say that we were savages and uncivilized and uneducated, our children knew these things. Our children knew about, our little children knew about biology, science, anthropology, astrology, all these things. Our little kids, little ones, knew all these things. They understood these things because we taught them these things. European schools don't teach until later on in school. I love exploring the bisection of ancient philosophies and sciences. Ancient Hinduism also has many fantastic examples of accurate scientific observation. Exactly, right? Pre-contact. Pre-white European ethno-contact. Many cultures had these things, but somehow we're all primitive and savages and unintelligent. Yeah, right. I think that's kind of like the other way around. And the rest of us world are waiting for y'all to wake up. Get with the program. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, with these understandings, like, you know, when we start looking at it, you know, and you start researching and studying and implementing the medicine wheel into your life, you're going to find your life becomes more healthier, more balanced. Relationships become much more stronger, more healthier. Everything in your world becomes more balanced. And like I said, people stumble and fall. It's just human nature. You may make mistakes, you may stumble, you may falter. Do not give up. Do not get frustrated. Instead, examine, retrospect. Where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? What could I have done to change that? And correct it so that next time I come from a more holistic, balanced, respectful, compassionate, and understanding action. Does that make sense? Or at least, I hope that makes sense, at least. And for the sake of my dear friend OG, I am going to
Workforces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Killing in the name of, killing in the name of. And now you do what they told ya. 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 Those who died are justified for wearing the badge. They're the chosen ones. You're justified. Those who died for wearing the badge. They're the chosen ones. Those who died are justified for wearing the badge. They're the chosen ones. You're justified. Those who died for wearing the badge. They're the chosen ones. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Killing in the name of, killing in the name of. And now you do what they told ya. 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 Those who died are justified for wearing the badge that shows you what you're justified. Those who died for wearing the badge that shows you what. Those who died are justified for wearing the badge that shows you what you're justified. Those who died for wearing the badge that shows you what. Come on! Yeah, come on! You won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Proceeds from this video will be going to the Bail Project, and you can read more about that organization below. We thought that it would be a cool idea to create a challenge here in the music community to get more eyes on Black Lives Matter. So, we're going to nominate 3 artists to cover the song and hope that they do the same. We nominate our friends Violet Orlandi, First to 11, Lauren and Crazy 88, and anyone else that wants to help spread the message. We'll leave the link to our instrumental in the description below for anybody that wants to use it. Please just make sure you credit us somewhere in your video or description. Let's get this song circulating by labeling your video Killing in the Name Challenge. Make the message heard to help end police brutality and systemic racism.
Yes. Love it. Yes, Zach is a national treasure. Most definitely. Most definitely. So, that would be, when it comes in regards to the medicine wheel, that would be like a health and wellness check. All of these, you know, you see all of these wellness conferences and whatnot, you know, all these gurus, so to speak, talking about music is my meditation. Yes, it is mine too. You see them talking, you know, you see them all doing all these, oh, you know, self-help, self-help. The medicine wheel has worked for generations. Thousands of, tens of thousands of years, for generations. The medicine wheel has helped and has kept that. And for a major part of indigenous community, for the over 500 plus years, 37 hours, cutting it close to 38, getting close to 38, be more. Hardcore, I know, right? So, understand something. Well, I am, but I am looking at getting to a point where I'm probably going to end streaming in a while. Just because I do need to look after myself too. And I keep getting everyone telling me, remember to look after myself. So you know, Uncle Sue's got to look after himself, right? But it is important for me to show you by example. Taking your own advice is the hardest thing sometimes, huh? Yeah, it is, right? It is, isn't it? It's funny how that works. There are people, that can give you all the advice in the world, and it's like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, this is blah, 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 right? But when it comes to themselves, it becomes hard. It's like the hardest thing on the planet. And I think that has to do with just basic human nature, and the desire to put others before yourself. The benefit, the well-being, the health of others before you. I know that's foreign thinking to a capitalistic society, but even within it, you still find people that do that, putting others before themselves. So, it is what it is. So, when we look at it, I mean, I could go for 4 days and 4 nights, but it wouldn't be the first time that I had to do 4 days and 4 nights of something. But I don't think it'll upload to YouTube later. I don't think YouTube is capable of handling that much data all at once. Plato said something like this as well, describing happiness as something you attain from contributing to the well-being of others. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But you also have to remember to take that time and constantly remind yourself to take that time for you too, right? Yourself as well. Medicine people spend the majority of their time helping other people and looking after the well-being of others. And a lot of the times falter in looking after themselves. But that happens in almost every walk of life, right? So, I mean, in a while here, I'm probably going to call the stream and go to bed and sleep for maybe a day or two. A well-needed rest and sleep. But as we look at things, right? Like, how many of us have been in relationships that just didn't work? And it just started to get crazy and haywire. That's because of an imbalance. We're not balanced. We're not centered. Both parties, not just one, both. The last months before my divorce. Yeah, exactly, right? Boom, everything. Because slow and got worse and worse, yeah. Till I had to move out, yeah. So with the medicine wheel, it helps us to teach us, that there are two people that come together as one, but they still keep their individuality and they still must find that balance within inside of themselves. And by doing so, you're both able to move together in balance in whatever direction, right? Which helps to promote and keep a strong, healthy, balanced relationship. One that's a long-lasting one. That doesn't fall to the sideway. Or doesn't break up or fall apart or crumble or, in some cases, burn to the mother effing sky. You know what I mean? Like a nuclear explosion just went off. And I think with the video I previously had shown, the streamer of it touched on some very important aspects to show just how well the medicine wheel can apply in daily living today, in daily lives today. Which is one of the things that they don't exactly try and tell you that, when they talk about us indigenous people, how our spiritual way of life or our culture or our way of life is like the dinosaurs. It has no way of being implemented today in today's world, but yet it does. It is also having that flexibility to be able to adapt to wherever it is, to today's day and age. I am extremely delusioned with medicine right now, and I absolutely need guidance. So it is nice to hear that I'm not just lazy or stupid for feeling I can't get it from the local clinic. Yeah, you're not just lazy or stupid for that feeling, buddy. Dazed, you are not. It's completely understandable. It's completely acceptable, and you're not wrong on it. Many people feel the same way. You wonder why, when I was younger, I would look at my elders and see couples that have been married for 60, 50, 60 plus years and wonder how the fuck did they ever manage to pull that off and still be in love with each other and still be, a part of each other's lives and working together to achieve the goals that they want for themselves together as a unit. I was like in awe. It's like, wait a minute, you've been together for like fucking 60 plus years? You gotta be fucking kidding me. How the fuck did you manage to do that? How the hell did you pull that off? The more and more I started understanding the medicine wheel for myself, the more and more I started to understand that on how they managed to pull off being together for 60 plus years. Lazy and unintelligent are imposed upon us by capitalism, imperialism. It's a part of the myth of the Christian work ethic. Yeah. You're right, Rye. You're very much right. So part of decolonization is learning to step away from that, learning to step out of and out from underneath the yoke of that exact thing, that myth of Christian work ethics, imposed upon by us by capitalism and imperialism. So in other words, I have been taught that productivity equals out. Yeah. My grandparents have been together a very long time. I think it's from compromise and understanding each other. Yeah. Well, like I said in some of the earlier segments, one of the greatest issues that we're facing today is the inability to be able to communicate with each other properly, healthily, respectfully. We just, the more and more capitalism and imperialism continues to brainwash us from the time we enter into school, or from the time that we can sit down in front of a TV or pick up a video game even. It brainwashes. It's a constant bombardment to do everything else and to remove everything that would allow us to be balanced, to be a balanced human being, or to be able to compromise and understand each other, truly understanding each other, taking that time, right? This is where you hear, a lot of people nowadays talk about ride and die, right? Oh, I want a woman that's a ride and die woman, or I want a partner that's a ride and die. That's learning to compromise with each other and learning to understand each other and stay committed to each other, be that much of a strong commitment to each other. But they don't want you to know about commitment to each other and those things. They just want you to be committed to living underneath the yoke of their new form of slavery. All that matters is this unattainable idea of, you have to have 50 Ferraris, a multi-trillion-dollar home, 70 trillion-dollar yachts, 50 trillion-dollar jets, private jets, in order to be worth anything. Sounds like my neocon uncle. His kids all hate him. Yeah, well. Where, even when it comes to relationships, they push this ideology of you have to be rich in order to be able to, truly, be worthy of having a partner. Turns out placing values above family itself doesn't make a stronger family. Yeah. Being able to communicate with your loved ones is essential. It's a core essentialness. And I mean, Lord have mercy. This is where, the saying of like gold diggers, right? How much do you have in your bank account? How much is your net worth? Is that before or after taxes? All this shit of what's a perfect partner. All the while pushing for you to be to have this capitalist consumerist mentality. Hey, Eero, or explorers. This is what the things that they push, right? Okay. I'm not too sure what frog skin ideology is, but what we're talking, or you mean like money, money and capitalistic ideology? No, we're actually talking about the difference between greed and capitalistic ideology. Yeah, lame deer's slang about currency. Yeah, we're touching on that too. But we're also talking about the medicine wheel. When that's that thing, like always, looking for the bigger and better deal. If your partner can't provide for you a lifestyle that you're accustomed to living, you need to separate and walk away from that person and find someone that can. Like, wow. Or if your partner starts to gain weight or doesn't look the way that they did when they met you, well, it's time to find somebody else. When you have your first argument as a couple and you just walk away and end it over some piddly ass argument, wow, that's not balance. That's not even healthy. That's not even productive. When you get into a relationship and you fall in love with the person that you met, and at a certain point in the relationship you start to want to change them, every little aspect of them, and then all of a sudden, after you've achieved said goal, you turn around and walk up to your partner and say, well, you're not the person that I fell in love with. Well, no, fuck. You changed them. You weaseled your way and you convinced them to be something that they're not, to prove that they love you and that they'll do anything for you. And then the regurgitated what's left over of what you implemented and you put in and made happen doesn't fit what you thought you were in love with anymore. Well, you're the one that fucked it up, not the person that you forced to change who they are because of your greediness and selfishness. I think COVID is making people keenly aware that they no worries, Days. I think COVID is making people keenly aware that they aren't just isolated now, but they've been isolated from humanity by careful design for some time now. And this is just the straw that broke the camel's back. Do you think after this we will see more communalism and healthier interpersonal relationships as a response? It is quite possible. I would hope so. I would truly hope so. I'm not a fortune teller. Neither. I'm not a fortune teller. But I would hope, and I'm hoping. Yeah. I'd like to think it will make people want to be closer. I want to think that too. But I'm not completely holding my breath. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that, colonialism, capitalism, and these, it hasn't affected me. I never need human to humans. Homelander. See, it wouldn't surprise me if they came up with some other new thing to help push people away from each other. Well, good for you, Homelander. But I mean, it also depends on where you work, right? I worked from home already. I mean, it all depends on where you live and what is, your state or province is telling you what or country or whatever. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they came up with something new, some new way or form of pushing that isolation even harder. There is a man, There's a man, Bicho Claus, who distributes gifts every year. He usually has corporate sponsors. This year there were no corporate sponsors due to the financial difficulties. However, the community still came together and found a way to give gifts to the children in the neighborhood. We know we can't rely on capitalists. Very true, right? Well, you know, Homelander, I've been there, buddy. And, it can even be for a simple ass reason like, they call me by my nickname at the wrong time and it triggered me. Or they placed a cup somewhere and they didn't want them to. And I will stop. Wow. Sounds like you got some work to do with yourself there, Homelander. You know what I mean? I feel you, Days. So we have reached the, it makes me thankful for the little corners of swell people like y'all. So, thanks, Days. So we reached the 3-hour, 38-hour stream timeline. Been streaming for 38 hours, people. Yeah, I'm just thinking about going and getting some sleep. Yes, I am thinking about that. And at this also moment, I'd like to take the time of, if you haven't followed me yet and you like the content and so forth so far, please feel free to follow. If you can afford to, don't put yourself out, but if you can afford to, maybe think and consider about subscribing, or giving gift subs to the community. Also, I have a GoFundMe page or a GoFundMe link on my page. Hey, thanks, Days. Thanks for the subscription. Why didn't that play? So, I also have a GoFundMe page. donation link on my page. So what that is for is so that I can work towards saving up enough money to get a new computer. And that's what that money is going to be going for, is so that I can get a new computer, because what I'm sitting with is basically a freebie poor man's computer that is bare bones. And it's like at least, over a decade old, if not longer. So Rye, you might actually have to click the link there and like go to it and then copy the link, and then, because I thought Hildy put it in, but I don't know what's happening with it. Well, there are a lot of different foods that can be healthy, and different vitamins, minerals, and such that can help you, and also many things that consuming will kill you, if that metaphor makes sense. Wow, dude. 38 fucking hours. That's a long stream. And I think at my max, I think I've only managed to get 6 hours sleep out of that. Thankful for the friends who help, take over and help keep the stream going and active in those 2 different bits, where one I took like 4 hours and the other one I think it was like only 2 of a sleep. I appreciate that. Helping me to achieve, and to do the goal. Yes, that makes sense. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Helping in my goal of no one needs to be alone at this time of year, and providing a space for people so they're not alone at this time of year. Real leftist action. Putting I gotta sleep. Have a good sleep, y'all. All right, explorers, you have a good sleep. Thank you for popping by. You rest well. I'm getting pretty close to doing the same thing myself. It's been a long one, folks. I mean, 38-hour stream is by no means small prize. It's getting here late also. Yeah, I know, right? I think we're going to raid into the obscure curio, because he's always a blast and he's always up for a long while. And I think humor and having humor and being humorous is a very healing medicine. And sometimes we really need that too. Yeah, I know, right? So, I want you all to, you know, join in for the raid. And let us raid Obscurio. That's a good friend of mine. If you're not following him, I suggest that you follow him. He's a really cool guy. He is a leftist, but he does have he's got a really good sense of humor, and it's always lots of fun and humor on his streams. Lots of good times, and being able to, you know, enjoy those things. So thank you very much. I greatly appreciate everyone who helped out and was a part of this 38-hour stream. Y'all are awesome. And much love and respects to all of you.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Welcome to hell.
Well, Sue, rating. What's up, Sue? Part of 17. What's up, Sue's party? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Obscure Curio. We're just talking Southern hospitality, baby. Yeah, I mean, I've been side-eyed before in my hometown, you know what I'm saying? It's because I'm just
500
like, you know.
years.
But for the most part, yeah, like, I saw, Sue, I saw you were on for a long time, homie. I hope it went well. I was listening from, I don't know,